a licensed professional counselor and covenant crisis therapist in Living Water Family Therapy in Round Rock, Texas. And you are watching Living Water for Real Life, where I sit with women in the deep end of real life and point them back to the living water by integrating faith and evidence-based therapy. Let's dive in. Before we jump in, please subscribe and leave a heart or a wave in the comment section so I know that you're here, and share with another woman who needs a little bit of living water in her real life. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's so important to all of the ladies. We're going to be talking about postpartum anxiety and what it is not, and how it shows up in your body, okay? So, when I was thinking about this, I was at an event last week, and I spoke on a panel about prenatal maternal mental health. And they had asked for me to help define what is postpartum anxiety and how does it show up, and what are some practical things that some women can do, that women can do to help them feel better. And so I think that this is a very important topic that does not get brought up enough, and sometimes there can be a lot of shame around that as well. And so I just wanted to bring it to you ladies and create an opportunity for us to have an open conversation about it. So what is postpartum anxiety, right? Postpartum anxiety is that feeling of nervousness and or worry after you have your baby. The period of postpartum is typically 0 to 12 months after you give birth to your baby. And so during that time, there are lots of different things that are happening in your body. Even though you may not be pregnant anymore, there are still lots of hormones still fluctuating in your body. And if you're nursing or breastfeeding, then it can also make hormones fluctuate as well. So it's normal to feel a bit nervous after having a baby. But if you're finding yourself feeling very worried, very anxious, not able to sleep, not able to take care of your baby, you don't want to leave the house because you're afraid maybe something might happen to your baby, that is not normal. Today's verse is going to be anchored in Philippians 4, 6 through 7, which says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God." And verse 7 says, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." Okay, so I know you're saying, okay, Roslynn, there you go again with that Bible, okay? So I hear you saying, don't be anxious, right? But I just had this baby. I don't want to be anxious. I am excited. I'm supposed to be happy. I'm supposed to be enjoying this time after I have my baby, right? But I don't feel like that. Okay, yeah, I understand that. And just because you feel those things doesn't mean that it's wrong. And it doesn't mean that you're not excited to have your baby. It just means that sometimes feelings come up, and sometimes people do still get overwhelmed for a variety of reasons after they have babies. And so I just want you to know you are not alone, and it is okay. I'm so glad you're here. I am, because the first step is knowing why. Really noticing that there's a problem and doing something about it, right? Because you can't change it if you don't know that there's a problem, right? Right. Thank you. Okay. So going back to the verse, don't be anxious about anything, right? And bring your request to the Father, right? How do you do this practically? Because yes, you have this little baby right there who needs everything from you, right? Food, attention, love, warmth, caring, you name it, right? So how do you do that? So what you do is you say, God, this is difficult for me. I want to love this precious baby that you've given me well, and it's difficult because I need extra support. And so what that looks like is praying, even whenever it's difficult. It looks like maybe going to a friend and saying, hey, I'm feeling nervous, or I'm not feeling good today. Can you come over and help me? Maybe it's letting a friend or a loved one bring meals to you, especially if you have other kids. You don't want to cook. Look, I know you don't want to cook. You just had a baby. Heck, sometimes I don't want to cook. I'm going to be honest with you. But there are things that still have to happen, and life still happens after you have a baby. And that doesn't mean that you're expected to do it alone. Get your spouse involved. Even if you are nursing, have your husband get up, or your partner get up in the middle of the night and say, okay, well, I understand that you're nursing. Let me see what I can do to help you. Can I bring you a snack while you nurse the baby? Can I bring you some water while you nurse the baby? Can I just be awake with you, because it sucks for you to be awake at 3 o'clock in the morning and have to get up in 3 more hours? Use that as an opportunity to connect with your partner, your spouse, and also to bond with your baby. Another thing that postpartum anxiety is not suicidal or extreme sadness. That is something different. That could potentially be postpartum depression or something else. We're going to talk about that in another episode. But postpartum anxiety is that period between 0 to 12 months after you have your baby, where there are feelings of loneliness, feelings of worry, feelings of being overwhelmed and not knowing what to do with it, or maybe just feeling like that your situation is unmanageable and you don't know why. It feels irrational to you. And also, another thing I want to tell you is that people don't realize this, but untreated postpartum anxiety, right? Remember that period between 0 to 12 months after you have a baby, that period, okay? If you do not treat postpartum anxiety during that time, it can turn into actual anxiety that ends up being prolonged for not just months after your postpartum period, but sometimes even years. And that is really not fun to deal with. And so what are some things that you can do to help reduce that if you are dealing with postpartum anxiety? Well, some things that you can do is you can talk to somebody like me. I am a licensed professional counselor. I specialize in pregnancy and postpartum support. If you're going through, come talk to me. I'd love to talk to you, and I'd love to see how I can help you.
If you or someone you love is struggling with postpartum anxiety, call your primary care provider, or reach out to a mental health professional in your area. Now back to the show.
Let's back up a little bit. So I hear you saying, okay, Roslynn, I hear you saying that postpartum anxiety is a real thing, right? But isn't it normal for all new moms to worry about their baby? Yes, it is normal. And there is a degree of worry that's normal versus what seems like excessive. If it seems like that you're so worried to where you're having a hard time sleeping, you're not able to eat, you're not able to focus, you're not able to rest whenever baby is sleeping, maybe you're so upset and worried that it's affecting your milk supply, and maybe baby is having issues eating or sleeping. Another red flag is if are having a hard time attaching to your baby. That is a really big red flag. If you don't want to hold your baby because you're concerned that something might happen to the baby, that is a red flag. Those are things that need to be addressed and listened to. And if that is what's happening for you, I want you to know it is okay. Okay, you are in good company. I mean, there are so many women that have babies and have these ideals and are ultimately disappointed because after they have their baby, they assume that it's supposed to be this beautiful period of rest and relaxation and bonding and growth with the baby and their family, right? And it's not like that, because maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe your other kids are having a hard time adjusting to the new baby, or maybe you and your partner are having problems. There are a variety of reasons why postpartum anxiety is a thing. And I want you to know you deserve to feel good too. And you deserve to be okay. And I want you to know that I see you in that. I had a mom at the event the other day ask me why I became a therapist. And, I normally don't tell my story just because, that's part of the whole therapist thing, right? You're not supposed to tell your business, right? So, yeah, yada, yada, yada. But you know what? I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. Why? Because I think that's important. I think that it's important for our clients to know that their therapist is a real person, right? That I'm just as normal and as regular as you are. I struggle. There are things that are difficult for me, and my life isn't perfect, right? Nobody on this earth ever has a perfect life, and that's okay. So what I want to share is after I had both of my babies, and even during my pregnancy, those were difficult pregnancies for me. And postpartum was also very difficult. There were a lot of changes that were happening in my life, and at that time, I was in grad school and working on my postgraduate hours for my license. And so I'm telling you, in all sincerity, if I did not have a bomb pregnancy and postpartum therapist like I did, I would not be here talking to you right now. And I am, um, that's why I feel so strongly about talking to you and letting you know it is okay to not be okay, right? It is okay to ask for help. And wise and strong mothers do ask for help. They know and understand when it's difficult, and they take the effort to change and to find out what they need to do to help themselves and their family. Um, Another point I want to bring up is particularly around postpartum anxiety. That's not just mom. Dads experience that too. Whenever there's a new baby that enters a family system, a lot of people get, in essence, shaken up by that. And so, yes, everyone is so attentive to baby, right? Because baby is new and baby is exciting, right? And then everybody goes and flocks to mom. Why? Because mom is the one that holds baby and has baby. And if you want to get to baby, you have to get to mom, right? But what about dad? What about dad? Who's taking care of dad? Um, I want you to know that dads can get postpartum anxiety and depression too. And if dad is not okay, then the family is not okay. If mom is not okay and dad is not okay, baby is not okay. And it is important to shout out our fathers too. Shout out our dads in the room, because whenever there is a strong male father figure, it makes it much easier for mom to thrive postpartum, because she feels like she has support that she needs, right? And you know, and then also if mom is supported, then baby also feels better. And it just makes the family system run smoother. So I just want to say shout out to dads, as well. Y'all are doing a great job. Um so bringing it back. Um it is okay to not be okay. And if you do struggle with postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, um, ask for help. You know, it is okay. Some other things that you could, so some other things that you could do to help with that is some grounding. Do some deep breathing. Um, from and practice inhaling and exhaling and being mindful of your breath, right? Another thing that you can do is sensory grounding. I love doing this with my clients. It works so well pretty much all the time. And what that is where you use all 5 of your senses. And I say, find 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can touch, and 1 thing you can taste, right? And it doesn't really matter, what order you do them in, just as long as you're intentional about using each sense, um, then that's good. But what that does is it helps reorient you back to the here and now, and it helps to bring you back to your body, and it also helps to calm your nervous system, which is what grounding does. What does this mean today, right? As a woman, new mom in the 2026 year, right? Because that's the year we're in today. Um, that means that if you need help, it is okay. It is okay to not be okay. And the first step to getting help is acknowledging that things are difficult. And you're not alone in that. A lot of women struggle with postpartum anxiety, after they have their babies. And when it's not treated or treated poorly, it can develop into long-lasting anxiety, which is much more difficult to treat. And if it does become more intense to where it's not able to be managed through cognitive behavior, through psychotherapy or psychoeducation, which is just education around what's going on, or then even medication might be an option for whenever it's really severe and really hard. But I want you to know that there are options and that you don't have to go through this alone, because we are better together. So, if this episode was helpful for you, or you know a mama who's struggling, who just had a baby, and maybe you just want to love on her a little bit, share this episode with her. And if you would like to learn more about the work that I do and come and work with me in my office in Round Rock, Texas, then I am accepting new clients, and I'd love to see you. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.